Okay, you've all probably done some charcoal in the past. Hopefully you've done additive and reductive, but what I'm going to go into today is reductive drawing using charcoal, and I'll kind of take it from the very beginning, so some of you who haven't done it, you'll know how to prep your paper for reductive and how to use it. It's very simple, but there's a process that kind of makes it work better. Okay, so we're going to start by taking a piece of our paper and we'll tape it off so we end up with a nice clean border in the end. So I'm just going to do that real quick, and then we'll lay an even ground of charcoal over top of that to give ourselves a nice light gray to work with in our actual drawing. I'm just going to take one tape width across and a little extra, just take a little bit off of that just to kind of give myself, again, it'll help tape the drawing down and give you a nice white border around it when it's finished. Okay. If you go all the way around in one direction, when you lift the tape off, it'll come off more easily. This is why 2-inch thick tape is good. It's very quick and to lay down, and you can kind of use it as a measuring tool as well in a small way. And if you do need to mask a surface area, it'll cover quickly. Okay, so you go all the way around like that. And you're ready to lay down your ground. Take your fingers, run it along that line, that's the edge. You want to make sure nothing gets underneath that, because you will move the charcoal around a little bit. And then that'll should keep it pretty clean. If you're really aggressive with it, no, it won't keep it clean. But if you're a little bit careful as you get to those edges, you'll be fine. Okay, and I'll go over some of the materials you should have to do this. So what we'll use today is we'll use charcoal. We'll use vine charcoal. I have some thick sticks, some thin sticks. Basically, I have a kit of sort of collected little odds and ends that looks something like that I usually have in the classroom. These are all vine charcoals of different thicknesses. This is a very thin one, like the vine you have. Some of you got the thicker sticks. Some are like this. Some are a little thinner, more like this one in there. The square sticks that you're going to see, those are compressed charcoal. They're usually called charcoal. And that's a really important material to use. It really helps us get our darks really dark. It's very unforgiving, so we kind of put it on once we have our drawing established. So you sort of use it at the end when you're sure where you really need to take your blacks down and so on. Okay, and that's these sticks broken here. Okay, you'd never if you lay your ground down with that, you would never get it back up. You always use it at the end of your drawing. Okay, so we use charcoal. So charcoal sticks. Okay. The other thing we're going to use is a regular eraser. So we just have a regular white eraser and our kneaded eraser, our reusable kneaded eraser. And it's like a little putty type of eraser that you can stretch and use in a range of different ways, especially good with charcoal. Okay. Those two things. And some type of blending stump. This is a big kind of cumbersome one. It was what I had around, but you have little paper ones probably in your kit. You can use those. I don't use them very much. I like to use my hands. I'm very hands-on. You also would need some sort of tissue paper or cloth or something like that. What is really the perfect thing if you're going to do a lot of charcoal is a chamois, a leather chamois, or a synthetic leather chamois. It's like a microfiber. Super soft, and so sometimes with a like paper towel or tissue or something, it'll scratch your paper and leave these big marks. It's very hard to even out. This is very, very soft. It won't really do any of that to your paper. So really, can really make nice blends with it when you're laying down a lot of charcoal. So it's actually a very useful tool to have. and last but not least, your viewfinders. Okay, and that's basically just so if when you're choosing your subject matter, you can kind of hold it up in front of your subject and frame it up. We're going to work with your face today, but essentially say you're looking at your face and you look like Che Guevara. You know, you're looking at something like that. Okay, what you can do is you can kind of look through your viewfinder and frame up what you're going to include in your drawing. And we're really going to concentrate only on the brow bone and the eyes today. And mostly it's to work with your darks and lights, that you've been working with the spherical shape and shading it, seeing how light hits that. And so that's really what you're going to be concentrating on today, is the ball shape in both of the eyeballs in that region and how the lids go over those spherical shapes. So a continuation of what we've been doing. Okay, so you can use that to frame it up, just to give yourself a point of reference. Okay, so to lay out the charcoal ground, basically what you do is get a piece of nice soft charcoal and just lay a nice even layer over top of the surface. The one thing that people do, so those of you that are familiar with the reductive method, is some people go very heavy with the gray. They go for a very dark gray to begin with, or a very light gray. And it kind of depends on what your subject matter is. But technically speaking, when you lay down a really dark gray initially, getting your bright colors back, getting your whites back is going to be almost impossible. I like to start with just a really soft ground, and unless I was working, if I say I had a black drapery, something that was all dark, then my highlights are never going to be white, so I don't really have to worry about getting back to white. So I might opt to go really dark with something like that. But normally I put a really light layer, so I got a real soft gray, just so I can kind of find my shapes by sort of searching for the patches of light with my eraser after I lay down the gray. Okay, so I like a nice light layer. Normally, as a teacher, I cheat. I have a powdered charcoal that I can sprinkle over here, and it just gives this most glorious blend. But I think that's kind of cheating, and you guys don't have that. It's expensive, and you can do it with the sticks, but you do have to kind of be careful and take your time with that. Now, when you kind of crack open your charcoal stick, it's going to be really round and maybe uneven along the side. So if you put it down right away, you could start scratching away at the surface. So take a piece of paper on the side and just kind of work it a little bit to kind of open up that a little bit, and that gives you a little bit of a flat spot to start with. And you can also use that to kind of sharpen it when you need to use it, like a pencil sharpener later on. So I'm going to get in here and see where you're watching from. I'll start up here. The more evenly you lay, see, it's talking when you're doing this is not really ideal. The more evenly you lay the gray over top of it, the easier it's going to be to work with. So I'm going to shut up and do it. See, I've already got a line in there from an uneven edge because I lost my edge. Hold on, I'm going to do that again. Just get my flat spot. And there we go. That's better. And you can use whatever way you want, whatever pattern you want. I like to kind of try to get a nice even layer. It doesn't have to be perfect. You're going to do a lot to it once you get into it. There, that's starting to get a little bit better. Now I've got the BFK Reeves paper on here, the good paper, because I kind of want to get some darks in here. And the thing with the BFK Reeves is that it's going to hold your charcoal a little bit more. You probably felt when you did your drawing. It's deeper and it kind of sucks up more of your graphite. And that's going to be the same with charcoal. Now that's good and bad in some people's eyes, because you'll end up, take a brush. you'll end up taking longer to build up your forms because the paper eats up a lot of your charcoal. But when you really want to build up your forms, it'll give you enough material, or it'll absorb enough material that you really be able to work the form. So it's what happens on the thin bond paper that you're using a drawing pad is that it stops accepting material pretty quickly, and it wears down with your eraser more quickly and so on. And that really limits what you can do with the paper. So the paper does make a difference. And so while some of you won't like this paper that much when you first start using it, once you've used it a few times, you'll start to really see some of the great qualities. You can see it has a textural quality to it on its own as well. Okay, so like I say, I'm going for a light gray. I'm going to take what I have down here right now, and I'm going to take my little chamois, and I'm going to blend it out. There we go. Okay, I'll start in the corner, see what I'm working with. Yeah, see, I'm not really going for a very dark gray. I just want a soft gray, and I'll work reductively within that. If I want to add gray, if I finish this and I don't like it, I can add one more layer of gray or one more layer of charcoal and take it down a little darker. It's very easy to do. Now, about the way I'm blending it, very important, is I'm not pushing it into the paper. I'm really just sort of brushing it over the top of the paper and fluffing, kind of smoothing it together, like kind of mixing it on top of the surface, because I don't want to grind it down into the pile of the paper, because then, again, I won't be able to get it back off if I need to. And I don't know at this stage what needs to be white, what needs to be black, and so on. So I want to keep all my options open, essentially. If I drag little edges on here, those little scratch marks will come from that. So mostly what I want to do is I want to fold it up, so I get it kind of a rounded shape to work with. Now this is going to lift it up because it's clean. Once it's black, it starts just laying it down. You can see that it lift it up a little bit at first. Okay. So if you want to lighten your layer even, you can go in with a clean cloth or a clean piece of tissue paper and do that. Take some off. If you grind it down into the surface, that's not going to be possible. And I don't have, I'll be a little fussy just because I want you to know really the proper way to do it. And as you brush it out like this, it will even out. With some materials, it's sort of referred to as self-leveling. It's like a self-leveling material in that it'll spread out and continue to spread out and pretty much even out across your page. Okay. All right, that's a really soft gray. I might go a little darker, but this is okay for now. Okay. Now, the thing to know also about working reductively is once I know what my subject matter is, for example, if I say I'm going to do him, and I'm probably going to do something else because the range of values is just brights and darks, the in-betweens are gone. But say I know that this area is going to be dark, and this area is going to be dark, and I'm doing a vertical, a vertical rectangle. Then I can darken the gray darker down here, darken it up here, and then still keep it at a softer gray in the middle. And that's where you start adjusting your additive reductive processes, not to just be do the whole page and then take it off. And in that way you can preserve whatever whites you want to keep into the drawing and get it nice and bright. And that'll expand the range of values dramatically to be able to get to the white of the paper by doing that. Okay, so that's prepped and ready to go. And next step, we'll start drawing.